Hi there, boys and girls. I guess we'll keep going with story time with Mr. Riddle. Today we're going to learn about one of my favorite animals, ants. I used to watch them all the time when I was little. I even used to play a computer game where you could tell the ants what to do. This story is called Ant Cities, written and illustrated by Arthur Dorros. It's a little longer story, but I think you'll like it. There are lots of different kinds of ants. They're found all over the world. They're real small, but they're hard workers, and they can pick up much heavier things than they are. Have you ever seen ants busy running over a hill of dirt? They may look like they are just running around, but the ants built that hill to live in, and each ant has work to do. Notice these friends watching the ant den. Little colony. You have to stay back a little bit, because ants can sting you. You don't want to touch them or mess with them. You gotta be careful. Even when you're watching those ants spread out looking for food, they might climb up onto your shoe. So you always gotta check your feet and make sure there's no ants climbing up. Be careful. Some ants may disappear into a small hole in the hill. The hole is the door to their nest. These are harvester ants. Their nest is made of lots of rooms and tunnels. These little insects made them all. We have harvester ants around here. If you look around your yard, I bet you'll find a little ant den. Even those big red ants, they're harvester ants, not fire ants. They're just red. That's just their color. Underneath the hill, there are many miles of tunnels, and there may be hundreds of rooms. The floors are worn smooth by thousands of ant feet. It is dark inside the nest, but the ants stay cozy. Remember, the dirt covers it up and you can't see down inside the soil. This is what it would kind of look like. When it's sunny, the top rooms up here get nice and warm. When it's rainy, the ants may go down much lower, but some of the water will run off the ant hill. If it soaks in a little bit, that's okay. They just move to a different room. Even when it's snowy, the ants will go down deep and huddle close together like a ball to stay warm. They hibernate all winter. In the rooms of the nest, worker ants do many different kinds of work. It's like a city, a busy city of ants. Some ants have brought in food to the ant city. These harvester ants eat seeds. A worker ant cracks the husks off the seeds. Another worker will take the husks outside to throw away. The ants chew the seeds to get the juices out. Then they feed the juices to the other ants. Other workers store some seeds for the ants to eat on another time. Not all ants store food, but harvester ants do. They save up lots of food for in the winter time. In one room of the nest, a queen ant lays eggs. Workers carry the eggs away to other rooms to take care of. See a little better. See the queen ant? She's usually a little bit bigger. Each ant city has to have at least one queen. Without a queen, there would be no ant city. All the other ants in the ant city grow from the eggs the queen lays. At first, the tiny eggs grow into larvae, and the worker ants feed the larvae and lick them clean so they will grow. The larvae will then grow into pupae. The workers keep grooming the pupae until they grow into adults. The little eggs grow into little larvae, kind of almost like little caterpillars, kind of. And then pupae kind of look like ants, but just not quite developed yet. Almost there. Kind of weird, huh? The queen ant lays thousands and thousands of eggs. Most of the ants grow into worker ants. There may only be one queen ant in the ant city, but there can be many thousands of workers. Here's the queen. The queen is usually bigger than the other ants, and she lays the eggs that may grow into worker ants, new queens, and males called drones. And some of the worker ants may be a little bit bigger, called soldier ants. It says workers are all females. That's right. Almost all the ants in the ant colony are girls, females. The worker ants do all the work in the ant city. They'll also fight to protect the nest. Remember I told you some of them might be bigger, might baby soldier ants, they call them, because they're just a little bit bigger. But again, they're all girl ants. The new queens have wings, and they use them to fly away to start a new ant city. Their wings drop off, and the queen lays new eggs for her new ant den. Some queens will eat their wings for food as they make a new little nest. The males, or drones, don't live in the nest for long. They will fly away with the new queens to mate, and then they will die. Remember, most ants, almost all of them, are females, girls. The queen doesn't tell the workers what to do, but the workers are busy. Each ant has work to do. Ants work together to keep the whole ant city alive. If you look closely, you can see some new queens and males flying away. Here shows some ants collecting seeds and insects for food. They're bringing in the food. Some are carrying husks to throw away. That's the husking seeds. Some are storing some of the seeds down in some of the other tunnels. Here it shows, some new ants digging new tunnels, and some carrying the dirt out. Let's see, these are some ants resting, it says. And here's some winter rooms down below, way down deep, so it doesn't get too cold down there. Here's the queen ant with some workers. And here's some workers taking care of the eggs and the pupa and the larvae. And then, carrying the eggs to different nurseries. Everybody has work to do. Everybody has a job in an ant colony. Workers make the nest bigger by digging new rooms and tunnels. They use their feet to dig like tiny dogs. Workers pick up pieces of dirt in their jaws and carry them outside. Their mouth picks it up. It says dirt from the digging is what makes the anthill. Ants are great diggers and builders. Imagine all the tiny pieces of dirt that it would take to build an anthill over 2 feet high. The little boy is measuring the anthill. It says harvester anthills can be over 2 feet high and 6 feet across. Many other ants build smaller hills. We don't have any quite that big, do we, here in Oklahoma? Out around the harvester anthill, workers look for food. Harvester ants eat mostly seeds, but sometimes they eat insects too. That's other bugs. Ants can bite and sting other insects to capture them or to protect themselves. Be careful, because some kinds of ants can bite and sting you too. Harvester ants will bite or sting if you disturb their nest. If you bother them, if you mess with them, they're going to get mad and be looking for you. Since ants use their antennas to help them find food, they touch and smell with their antennas. Little antennas sticking up. Here it talks about their legs. They have little bristles like a comb to brush their antennas. Here's an ant that's cleaning off his antennas. And here's 2 ants talking to each other with their antennas. Pretty neat. Do you think we need antennas? No? If one ant finds food, others will follow. Soon there will be lots of ants carrying away food, or carrying away their lunch. If one ant can't carry something, others may help, but each worker ant is strong. An ant can lift as much as 50 times its own weight. If people could lift like that, we could each lift up our own car. If we were as strong as an ant, because it can pick up things much bigger and heavier than it is. We'd be able to pick up our cars if we were as strong like an ant. These workers carry the food back to the ant city. Ants share the food that they find. Remember, their job is to take care of the whole colony, the anthill. Ants eat many different kinds of food, but different kinds of ants like different kinds of food, and there are over 10,000 different kinds of ants. Here it talks about Formica ants eat mostly juices that they suck from the insects that they kill. There's cornfield ants. They like to eat the sweet juices or honeydew that they get from aphids. Those are tiny little green bugs. The aphids suck the juices from the plants, and then the ants milk the aphids for honeydew. Carpenter ants especially like sweet juices that they can get from insects and from plants too. Thief ants eat sweets and other food that they find in people's houses and lying about. Leafcutter ants, or parasol ants, make underground gardens with the leaves that they cut. They grow mushrooms in the gardens that they eat for food. Army ants travel in large groups like armies, and they devour huge numbers of insects, including termites. Different kinds of ants eat different kinds of food. Just like you eat different kinds of food. The different kinds of ants have found many ways to make their cities, so they can live in many kinds of places. Janitor ants make their nests in hollowed out tree twigs. The soldier janitor ant is a kind of worker ant that has a big plug-shaped head it can use for a door. See, the ants live inside the twigs of these type of ants. And see this little ant here? See how his head is kind of flat? He can block the door when the other ants can't come in. Because ant colonies, they'll fight each other. They don't like anybody from a different ant colony. Many kinds of ants make hills or mounds. If you haven't seen harvester ant hills, maybe you've seen this round-topped hill that Formica ants make. Sometimes they cover their hills with thatch. It's like grass and straw. We don't have those ants around here, do we? Or maybe you've seen pavement ants. They can live under sidewalks. When I was little, we had some ants that lived right out in the middle of the street. They come up right in the little cracks. It says pavement ants are tiny ants, about 1/8 inch long. Harvester ants are about 1/4 inch long. Some ants are as big as 2 inches long. Those are big ants. There's carpenter ants who also build their nests in rotting wood. Just like termites, they'll chew and eat little tunnels in that wood. There are small ant cities with just a few ants, and there are big ant cities with many, many more ants. Ants have been found at the tops of the highest buildings and on ships at sea. Ants can make their cities almost anywhere. Look around, you'll probably find an ant city busy with ants. They're found all over the world except for Antarctica, because it's too cold in Antarctica. The very back talks about making an ant farm. I'll read it to you. This would be something you'd want to have mom and dad help you with, okay? Because I don't want you to get stung. It hurts. It says if you want to watch ants close up, try making a simple ant farm. You can carefully collect ants yourself, or with mom and dad's help. If you want your farm to last a long time, be sure to include a queen. And here it says, remember, when you collect any ants, be very careful. Some ants can bite and sting. Their bite doesn't hurt, it's the sting. Just like a bee, ants and bees are related. That's why I like bees too. The stinger is what hurts. It says the lid of this jar has little holes punched into it. Be careful, don't make the holes too big because the ants can crawl right up out the hole. Here it says fill the jar with dirt about to here, a little over halfway. Here's the collecting jar. They have the ants inside. Okay, and here it shows the lid. Oh, wait, hold on, I gotta tell you about that one. It says you can sift the dirt into the jar and then put the ants in. Put a little piece of damp sponge, like a little wet sponge or wet paper towel, into the jar so the ants can have something to drink. If you put the water right into the jar, the ants might drown. Then put a little food into the jar. Too much food or the wrong food will not be good for the ants. Remember, some ants like seeds, others like insects, other bugs. Some like sweets. Try to see what the ants are eating where you collect them. You can kind of watch that ant colony and see what they're collecting and bringing back for food. And that way you know what to put inside your ant farm. Now you have an ant farm. Keep it in a dark place so the ants will live the way they do underground. Take the jar out into the light and you can watch the ants work. You can watch them dig. They'll dig little tunnels just like this picture. See the lid? There's the little wet sponge. Okay? And there's a little bit of food. You don't want to go crazy with too much water or too much food. It says, or you might want to make or buy an ant farm like this. This is a special one that you can order I think it's by Uncle Milton, I believe. It says dirt between two flat pieces of glass or plastic will show you the ants digging tunnels from both sides. Be careful not to shake the jar or the ant farm because that'll mess up their tunnels. Remember, be really careful and keep it in a dark place because remember, underground it's really dark. The ants are used to digging in the dark. If you keep it in the light, they may not dig very well. I hope you enjoyed the story. Ant cities. Remember to be very careful looking at ants. Don't let them sting you. Always ask Mom and Dad for help when making an ant farm. Tomorrow we're going to read the story, The Ant Bully. I think you'll like it. Bye-bye.